Now that we have the structure for the main content, let's go ahead and save some time and just copy and paste the content, the code for this section in the zip file. Let's start with the for aside.html. Open that in your plain text editor, select everything in there, copy that, and then paste inside your aside container. And if you have to, fix your indentation, your white space. And then for the other column, open the for main content.html. Do the same thing, copy all the code, or select all the code and then copy it. And then paste that inside the div with the class column10 applied to it. Fix your white space if you have to, your indentation. Okay, let's look at what we just copied and pasted into our services.html file. Starting with the aside, I have an unordered list for this portion right here. Weddings, portraits, and families will be hyperlinks to those various pages. And I implemented that as an unordered list with each link as an LI. I also went ahead and made them into hyperlinks. For investment, I made that into an H3 followed by the paragraph. And then there's contact, another H3 followed by a paragraph containing the address and phone number and an email me line. For the other column, we have services as an H2 element. Then we have 3 different paragraphs. And finally, we have 1 image. Let's save this and open our services.html page to see what it looks like. Comparing that with our mockup, it looks like we got some work to do. We need to add this image, which we will implement as a background image. Then we need to make it to where we could actually see the links. Weddings, portraits, and families. Right now, it's taking on the properties of the header hyperlinks. Then we need to center everything in the aside container and add some space. And then for the services, we just need to also work on the layout. And as you can see, we also have special character issues, but you can work on that when it's time for you to finish up your Lab 4B submission file. Okay then, let's get started. Let's start with the aside section. Go back to our HTML here. There's aside. So I want to add a background color and also a background image and set all the text to where it's centered within aside. The color, the background color is ECEAD1. With all that information, let's go to the CSS. We'll just put all the new selectors at the very bottom of the CSS file. We'll start with aside. Before I forget, we'll just do the background color of ECE AD1. We'll also add a background image. Syntax for that would be background dash image URL, opening and closing parentheses. Then inside double quotes would be the link where we can find that image. If you recall from a previous lab, this is how we do it when we're working with a CSS file. The way we set up our files, we have the style.css file inside a CSS folder, but it needs to go up one level so then it can find an images folder. And then inside that images folder, we have the wedding sidebar JPEG. To go up one level, it's 2 dots /. And then now that it's up one level from the CSS folder, now we can see an images folder. And then inside that would be wedding dash sidebar.jpg. Got my semicolon there. And let's center everything within the side. So we'll use the text dash align property with a value of center. Save that. And let's see what it looks like now. Okay, so in our sidebar, we have a background image, and it looks like the text is centered within the aside container now. However, by default, background images repeat to fill its container. And right now, even though content for the sidebar only goes to here, if you recall, we added, or we are using, the class wrapper to the parent div container. And this class wrapper, it has the display flex declaration. And what this does is it makes it to where all the children within a container will have the same height. So it's grabbing its height from this div, which has more content. So it's having to stretch itself out to where it's the same height. And because of that, there's room for the image to repeat itself. To keep background images from repeating, we can use the background repeat property, and then set that to no repeat. Save, refresh, and now we have it to where the background image only gets placed on there once, and then the remaining would be the background color that we set. And all the content is centered. Now what I need to do next is push the content down so that it's not on top of the image. So it could look more like this. Using my mockup, I will estimate that to be about 325 pixels. We can add that extra space there by putting a padding at the top of the sidebar. Adding top, 25 pixels, save, refresh, and that pushed the content by 325 pixels since we added a padding there. Next, let's do something about how this is arranged. It needs to be to where it's one line per link. Right now, it's acting more like how we have it in the header and footer because we told LIs to display inline. Well, we want this to display as a block element. To do that, we can create this selector that targets LIs inside aside containers. Reading this right to left, we are targeting LIs inside and aside, which is exactly what these LIs are. They are inside and aside. We'll say display block, save and refresh. And now we have it to where each one is in its own line. And right now there's an extra space to the right of the first two. And that has to do with what we set up for the header and footer again. We said that LIs, except for the last child, should have a 35 pixel padding on the right. That's what you're seeing there. So we want to set that to 0 pixels. Padding right, 0px, save, and refresh. And now we got it to where it's like that. Next, we need to do something about hyperlinks displaying in white. We want it to be more like our mockup here. It needs to be this size with an underline and italicize. It's 30 points, so we'll make it 30 pixels. It's an italic, and it has an underline. Also, it should not be in all uppercase. Okay, let's see if we can remember all that. We are doing this for hyperlinks that are inside an LI that are inside aside, which is exactly what these are. Okay, let's see. We'll start with the size. I already forgot, that was 30 pixels. Font style is italic. Text decoration should have an underline. And then text transform. Everything is uppercase right now, but we want it to be capitalized instead, so that it's only the first letter that's capitalized. Save that and refresh, and that's what we get there. Oh, I forgot the color. It should be this right here, the color of the body text, 6B605C. Save and refresh. All right, so it's starting to look more and more like it. I'm just going top to bottom, left to right, or left to right, top to bottom, whatever. Right now we're concentrating on the side. So last thing I'll do in this video is add that space between this unordered list and investment, and I'll estimate that to be about 35 pixels. We'll just say for any unordered lists that are inside aside, we will add a margin to the bottom of 35 pixels. And that's what we get there. In the next video, we will finish the investment section and the contact section.